Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Equine Episode Examination, episode number 105, where today we will be discussing the newest MOP episode that premiered this past weekend, Daring Done? Question mark? The title that always makes it seem like you're unsure about the episode title. But we are sure that is the episode we are doing today. So thanks for joining us on Tripoli today. If this is your first time joining us, pretty much what we do is what we show on the box. We're going to discuss the latest MOP episode, kind of have a roundtable discussion with everyone here in the call and everyone in the chat. Allow everyone to give their opinions on the episode, what they think, maybe dive into the episode of why people feel the way they do about whatever way they feel about it. And we'll start more general and then work into more details of the episode and semi-stay on topic as we get through it. We do record this live on Tuesdays, normally at 5 p.m. We started a little bit late today because they had that little live chat on Facebook with Pinky and Twilight. So we did start a little bit later today, but normally we do start on 5 p.m. on Tuesdays Eastern Daylight Time. So if you do want to come on and join in the discussion, we encourage you to stop on by CinemaQuestria.com on Tuesdays to join that in. If you're watching this on a recording, if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else and want to participate in the chat, I guess head on over to CinemaQuestria.com/stream, and you have the stream there, and you also get a link to join in our Discord discussion chat or IRC alternative chat there, so you can join in with the episode discussion with us. We'd love to hear what your opinion on this episode is. Daring Done? A talking pony? What? Actually, that literally should be what they rename the series to. It makes all too much sense. Anyway, I'm Rain Shadow, and there's a few other people here on the call with me as well.
This is Jay Smith.
What's up, guys? It's Mr. Ben.
And yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get right into it. Daring Done, another Daring Do centered episode. This would be our fourth one and our third one with actually Daring Do being like a real thing and not just a book. So what did everyone think about our fourth foray into Daring Do? I guess technically in the main series. I know people are going to say, oh, but the Equestria Girls, okay, in the main series. What did everyone think about the episode? Initial thoughts.
I'm almost surprised that we didn't really have almost a bit of a title drop in the episode. Because I kind of just half imagined Daring Do just kind of throwing a book down. She says, just F this, I'm done. I'm so done. Yeah,
so Giambaro showed some restraint and not title dropping that in the episode there.
Seriously though, this isn't really that. This was not a bad episode at all. I do imagine that someone's job though was Daring Done when they accidentally uploaded the thing to a week early.
Oh, ouch! Yeah. Oh boy, what a debacle! Can't go a season without something like that happening, I guess. Yeah, the episode itself was, I found it enjoyable. I guess some of the people, overall opinions on it from other people seem pretty mixed on it. For me, I thought it was one of the better episodes this season. I really enjoyed it and its characterization and the story and sort of where they took it and led it, and of course all the backstory that we kind of get, history and whatnot, tales, legends, more legends we get. I really liked it, and I really found it to be really enjoyable. I guess it's been a while since I've watched Daring Don't, which I keep almost accidentally typing for this episode, whenever I'm writing the episode titles, and of course the one where she last appeared in season. What season was that? Was that season 5? I
think it was season 6.
Or 6. I literally can't. Yeah, it was season 6 because season 5 was Countess Coloratura was the guest star. Yeah, it was season 6. For Stranger Than Fan Fiction, the other Daring Do episode. I haven't watched either of those for a while, so I'm not gonna try and pick out which one I like the best. But I really did like this episode as a Daring Do episode. I mean, I wasn't the criticism I wasn't seeing wasn't really anything based on oh my god Starlight, kind of like the oh my god Starlight's in the episode kind of criticism. It was, you know, people legitimately feeling it was, you know, a meh episode or something like that from what I was saying, you know. But I really thought it was really good personally. I really enjoyed it. I came out of it wanting to really watch it again, and right away.
I do have to admit, I really like. We did get another G1 reference with Somnambula.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in regards to the, well, mainly just in regards to the character name, but I also kind of find it interesting that we have what was originally a human character, effectively ponified. Kind of makes me wonder if we're going to see any references to, who was it? Megan, Molly, and Dan.
Oh, we already have a Megan.
Yeah,
she reunited with Applejack at HasCon.
Nice.
These are all real life stories of her adventures with the ponies. Yeah, I don't know if it was something like that or they just had the trademark available, so it was easy to use.
I can only imagine just how Applejack just responded to that "You're a Silly Pony" song going on.
So yeah, moving on to the story and the writing. This episode was another episode, the second one this season, the third one overall, written by GM Barrow, which I think this was something that Radio Dog or someone pointed out in chat on Saturday that I didn't even think of until they pointed out was that, of course, GM Barrow also wrote the Daring Do novels, the 3 Daring Do novels that were come out that I've been putting off reading. Shame on me. But that's really cool, you know, that she got to actually write a Daring Do episode in the show as well, being that she has 3 books of, like, background of expanding her lore and character and whatnot there. So it's kind of cool that they allowed her to actually write an episode as well with Daring Do. I think it was a good fit.
I really kind of like the fact that we got some more world building as well. Again, more myths and legends. We got the introduction of a new particular form of what do we call it? Mythological being, the Sphinx this time.
Of course, the face being of a pony instead of a person's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Oh, that would be kind of creepy if it was a person's face. Oh boy.
Agreed.
The mirror is having some unintended side effects.
I do find it kind of funny that, I mean, aside from the Equestria Girls universe, that this whole universe seems to be going almost completely out of its way to avoid having any depictions of humanity at all.
I'm okay with that personally too. It keeps it completely 100% fantasy, you know.
I just find it more funny than anything.
Another note about this episode, not really about the episode itself, but is that this was I can word well. This was Josh Haber returned as a story editor, a co-story editor, I guess, in this episode as well. Of course, he was story editor for season 6 and left to go story edit and work on other shows. The Spyro, not the well, I'm gonna call it the Spyro show, but the freaking Skylanders show on Netflix. And of course, Joanne and Christine took over story writing this season and have done a fantastic job. But he's back and starting this episode here, along with Joanne and Christine still editing. That surprised me. I didn't even notice it until someone pointed it out like a day later, and I'm like, oh, because I didn't even think to look at the story editing credits halfway, like at episode 18 of the season. I'm not thinking that those are going to suddenly change then, but yeah, I was surprised he came back this early. I was kind of expecting him to come back and maybe write the finale and then kind of help story edit next season, but coming in just episode 18, oh, here's Josh Haber again. Hey, everyone. And of course he was I knew he was definitely coming back in some form next season, because since he was at HasCon, but I'm hoping, you know, that it's going to be him and Joanne and Christine all story editing season 8. That'd be pretty cool. I think that's a good combo. Because yeah, Joanne and Christine have just done absolutely fantastic this season with the story editing, and think it's another great episode that they've story edited here along with Haber. Well, I guess technically, I mean, there would be humans for a couple seconds as they fell through the air until they splattered on the ground of Equestria, and then I don't know if they'd still qualify as humans. An ex-human. Another great thing about this episode, and I will continue to say this on every Triple E this season, is the great use of continuity and character reappearances in this. Obviously, Daring Do episode, it's going to have a lot of continuity in that aspect, but it also had a lot of other continuity between, like, Dr. Caballera and his interaction with Rainbow Dash. I think it was one of the things I really liked is seeing that Dr. Caballera actually, like, recognized Rainbow Dash and, like, kind of included her in his plan once he saw that she was kind of there with you know, trying to obviously defend Daring Do there, and I liked that how he instantly, cause, you know, he remembered her name, remembered who she was. It wasn't just like some random pony. I mean, obviously had a lot of interaction with her both in Daring Don't, but also a lot more in Stranger Than Fanfiction in season 6. So I like that they included that. And it just helps with the continuity, helps with make the world feel alive, that these villains would recognize Rainbow Dash as well as Daring Do. Definitely presented us with an interesting and sort of different Daring Do episode as well here, with it sort of taking an Incredibles vibe here, with the plot revolving around Daring Do actually kind of having to, like, she's like receiving backlash and having to deal with some, like, trouble she inadvertently caused while she's fighting these people or ponies trying to steal priceless artifacts and stuff. It was interesting, always an interesting take to sort of explore, you know, this whole hero thing, but kind of what happens when the hero leaves and he leaves all this destruction in their wake, because it's something that, you know, most superhero movies sort of gloss over, and you know, not just superheroes, but anything that involves some sort of hero like this, they sort of gloss over, like, all of those buildings that they smashed up in their fight. So it is nice having an episode in that when we're involving heroes or fictional literature and stuff like that, that sort of involves that repercussions of what they did. And I think that's one of the coolest things there about that, Tim, is you know, we, of course, we knew because it was pretty obvious it was him, but it's revealed later in the episode that it was actually Dr. Caballera that's kind of building up all this trouble and trying to smear Daring Do's name. But even though he's sort of amplifying this, everything he's saying, really, most of it is not untrue. It is true, the damage that Daring Do caused. And so even though Caballera is sort of amplifying it, the issue here really isn't fake. It isn't fake news or anything like that. It is a real problems that Daring Do was causing, and she didn't even realize it. And I like that about this, that even at the end of the episode, when you know, Dr. Caballera, it was revealed that it was Dr. Caballera, and of course everyone turns against him because he's obviously trying to steal stuff from them. Even after that, in the end, it wasn't just like, oh, it was Dr. Caballera and behind the mask all along. Let's, you know, episode over. We defeated the villain. It was, in the end, Daring Do still learned a lesson and had to learn a lesson there. And then she helped fix the damage she caused and, you know, pay repercussions and stuff like that. They didn't just shrug it off. shrug off all those claims and everything that she did just because it was revealed to be Dr. Caballero at the end. They actually still stuck those consequences on Daring Do. They didn't let them slide and let her take the initiative to solve them, which I really liked about the episode. I was kind of worried that, you know, as we go through the episode and we get to, you know, to Dr. Caballero and that they were going to reveal him, the people were going to forgive her, and we get in the episode at the end. I'm happy that they kept that in there and had her kind of make right for the wrongs that she still really legitimately did. Yep, very, very true there, Tim. All these things that were brought up in the episode were concluded in some way. We got the whole Somnambula arc, and then destroying the statue, and we see her, you know, having a new statue built at the end, and paying money to the hotel owner for the damage she caused, and giving the other guy a new card. All these things that were brought up throughout the episode all had a conclusion there in that final little montage sequence at the end. It was a very well written episode from beginning to end in that aspect.
I also kind of like how we did have the situation with Dr. Caballero and the whatchamacallit, the temple. It was kind of like another one of those little callback things where, like, Quibble Plants from season 6 mentioned how it seems like every time that Daring Do kind of flies out from the top of the temple, and Dr. Caballero actually seals off the top of the temple, almost to specifically prevent just that from happening.
And of course, she can't fly anyway because of the curse, so it kind of double covered that possibility there. He's learning. I mean, yeah, like you're saying, DM, a lot of this stuff, it's the same reason why can no one recognize Superman when he's wearing glasses? It's sort of a, you know, it's a liberty that a lot of entertainment takes with that kind of stuff. They don't necessarily want to have the audience eyes blinded, but they still want the character's eyes blinded to it. I don't think they were ever trying to really hide it from us that it was Dr. Caballero, and I mean, they could have just made him completely cloaked and we wouldn't have known, but then we probably would have recognized his voice anyway. But yeah, to the ponies in the world, obviously it didn't work that. It might look a little different to them. It's just for the benefit of the, it's one of those things that's for the benefit of the audience. You kind of have to suspend your disbelief for stuff like that.
And speaking of that, it kind of, I do kind of like how they address that sort of, I wouldn't really say plot hole, but more of a, they sort of address the whole, you know, Daring Do is not a fictional pony. How can she still exist in this world and still have books, you know, after her exploits and nobody recognize her, or something like that? And it states that most of Daring's adventures are done in southern Equestria, where she decides to go, you know, gallivant about without her disguise, and she still, you know, lives up in the northern Equestria, where most of her, you know, deeds aren't really known except through the accounts on her books.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Was that pop? So someone opening some booze? Can I have some?
What? I don't know.
But yeah, no, that's a really good point there. That, you know, it's pretty simple. How Daring Do keeps her secret identity secret. Don't publish books where you go on your adventures.
You know, Tim does make a point here that they do have some really lousy communication among Equestria, like, because it does seem that they do have a serious communication issue when it comes to how information spread. I mean, look at how long it took for Twilight's princess status to start getting how much attention outside of Canterlot and Ponyville, and she wasn't even trying to hide her identity.
Well,
then we have Starlight Glimmer not knowing who the Wonderbolts are, Pharynix not knowing who Twilight is. Hell, even the main 6 accomplishments seem to be recently getting widespread recognition, despite all the celebrations and events held in their honor.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, unlike what the Facebook live chat would like you to believe, it's not like the ponies have internet in Equestria or anything like that. I mean, it's sort of like back in the days, you know, before the internet, back in, you know, the early 1900s, stuff like that, in terms of communication in Equestria, where communication's a lot slower. It takes a lot slower for word, you know, it takes a lot more time for word to pass by word of mouth or these other slow forms. They don't have, you know, television or the internet or anything like that. So it's much like a disconnected world like we had before, like the 90s and before, when the internet became a lot more common all around the world, and we were finally able to, like, you know, chat with Matt all the way over in Europe, and I'm chatting with you guys across the country here. It's just something we take for granted now. Of course, back then it was a much different time, and that's sort of where they have Equestria set there. And it definitely does help in situations like this in terms of story.
It still stretches a little bit of disbelief, mainly because Daring Do has been at least as active as an adventurer for longer than the main 6. So we do know that tourism and traveling ponies do exist. So them not selling her books in a region should not equal complete anonymity for years on end, unless said tourists never actually go there.
I mean, I guess, I mean, you could argue that it's, you know, Daring's adventures happen so far and few between, the odds of her running into a tourist in some of these, you know, out of the way locations and temples that aren't tourist attraction temples. I mean, it's not like Egypt nowadays where it's like a big tourist attraction. I mean, it seems like all the temples and places and locales that Daring Do visits aren't necessarily very privy to tourists. You know, they're not tourist destinations. They're legitimately like other worlds in terms of Equestria, or whatever this world is called. I'm not sure where Equestria ends and begins. The movie is supposed to go outside of Equestria, and I mean, yeah, we never really explained that, but outside of the realm of Celestia, I guess. I guess just look at Quibble Pants there. Her stories became so unbelievable. 0 out of 10. And there's some clever names like that they get on in. I liked that as well. I mean, it's more than just, yeah, it's not even just apathy towards communication. It's you know, just like earlier times here in the real world, where just technology or abilities to communicate over long distances like that, especially instantly, just don't exist. Besides Spike. Spike sort of has his, like, dragon internet that you can just send emails over. For those watching at home, the long pauses here, or I'm waiting for people to type messages. You can't see that on this on the recording, but yeah, people are typing. I don't know. I still think it's it's still a lot different, and it's just you never back then the world never really felt as connected as we are used to it being in the modern day. It's much harder and much more of a challenge to disperse that information, and obviously if Daring Do isn't, maybe either on purpose or not, isn't selling her books to this particular region, then they have no way of knowing. And speaking of locations, we do get obviously a new location here, Somnambula, which is like an Egyptian style town, which is again a different, different kind of location than what we've seen in the past, which is cool. I'm always up for world building, and this episode definitely provided a lot of that. Still exploring Equestria, I guess. An interesting thing I kind of noticed about this episode is it really feels a lot like a map episode, but obviously there's no map involved. It involved a pair of the main six that go out to sort of kind of a pseudo friendship problem. Friendship problem is a kind of a stretch there, but it is sort of a problem in terms of Daring Do's reputation with the ponies of Somnambula there. So it's sort of a map episode without the map episode. In addition, we also go to a different region, like a new location, which is like something I always liked about some of the map episodes, and then some of the more recent ones haven't really done that, and we've just kind of gone to Canterlot or places we've gone before. So even did kind of better than some of the more recent map episodes in that aspect. But I'm glad, even if it wasn't a map episode, it might have been a little hard to shoehorn a friendship lesson into this, like I said, since it was kind of a reputation problem, I guess, with a big group of people rather than just a couple. But I do love the style of it, because I do love the exploration, and I do love these two character episodes, and I want more of these like duo episodes. I mean, technically it's kind of a trio when you include Daring Do, but in terms of the main six, it's a duo with Pinky and Rainbow Dash, and I loved seeing them together. And the Griffin episode, the Griffinstone episode, and it was great having them together in this episode as well. Yeah, they really play off each other really well, so it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, I do love these duo episodes as well. Kind of almost wish we got a little bit more of the Somnambula being able to figure out the Sphinx's riddles, but you can only do so much in like a 22-minute episode anyway. So
yeah, they kind of proved the point, and without like you said, with it only being 22 minutes, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again of having her solve riddle. Here's another riddle. Here's another riddle. Yeah, they kind of concised that down. And I guess technically we did get a third one with sort of Pinkie Pie solving a quote-unquote riddle at the end of there as well. I got a lot of Assassin's Creed vibes from this episode as well, especially with Caballera and sort of like being sort of like one of those, I don't even know what to call them, but they had the kind of similar people in the Assassin's Creed games, where there'd be some guy spouting things about it's the assassin or propaganda about different things. So it was kind of, I get like a very similar feel from Caballera on here.
Say we can't embed WebMs or anything through Discord, can we?
Can we what?
I know we can do like animated pictures in like little JPEGs or whatnot here through Discord. Would WEBM WebMs can we post those here as well?
I don't think it will embed a WebM.
I didn't think so.
You can try. I don't think it will, though.
I just want to post this. I don't think it'll do that. No, it doesn't seem to be doing that.
Nope.
It's just as well it's got sound anyway, so.
I really liked. Go ahead.
You mentioned Assassin's Creed, and I had to throw that in the chat, so that's all. Anyhow,
I really did like all the entire backstory. It was sort of like another mini campfire tale episode or segment there, where we have another continuation here of more of the comic book crossovers here with the Equestrian Legends. So it was nice having another one of those, because a lot of the stuff I really liked about that episode was sort of brought back in this episode for the backstory part there. And I guess we'll probably talk about this more at the end, but I really did like the lesson that was sort of given in this episode and exposited at the end. It was a good one. So, anything else anyone wants to point out for the story or the writing of the episode? Okay, so we'll move on to the characters and the characterization. What did everyone think about the characters in the episode? Well, I'll start with saying, with Pinky's character, I really loved Pinky's characterization in this. I think Gianbora really wrote her really, really well in this. From, like, interjecting Dash whenever she sort of pesters Daring do too much there at the beginning. Where she has that line, is like something like, as her friends, if you want to keep this to yourself, we completely understand, right, Rainbow Dash? It's just, I like kind of keeping Rainbow in check there and throughout the episode.
I really love the fact that I found it more amusing than anything that Pinky was the most level-headed and rational person this entire episode, basically, out of both her and Rainbow Dash.
And she still had her comic relief part and had a lot of funny lines and funny moments too. But like you said, she was, she had a lot of thought process going on, I guess you could describe it as. I love that kind of Pinky. And really, Pinky was like the perfect choice to be in this episode, aside Rainbow, and sort of as being one to save Dash, and in the end when she's trapped in that death trap there, because Pinky is the element of laughter, but again, going back to these sort of alternate main 6 titles that were given in the season 3 finale, which again, I've said this a billion times, I like a lot more, and I think they're a lot more fitting. Celestia called her element optimism there. And of course, this episode focuses, especially with Somnambula's story, focuses a lot on hope. And you can really relate the words optimism and hope very closely. So Pinky was really just like the perfect choice for this character, as a sort of a second character here in this episode alongside Rainbow Dash. And I'm really happy they did that, because it really fit, and all the puzzle pieces really fit well together in that aspect. And there's really a really great interaction between Pinky and Rainbow Dash in this episode. We've had it with their episodes in the past, but they have a really good way of playing off of each other. But I liked it in this episode especially because they never really got on each other's nerves that much. It wasn't like Pinky was constantly annoying Rainbow Dash or anything like that. But they were still themselves, and they still both were able to be themselves while still helping each other and looking out for each other or kind of pulling each other in at certain points, without sort of being annoying towards each other or anything like that. And I liked that. They were really shown to be close friends who cared about what each other was feeling about. And, you know, Pinky obviously disagreed with a lot of stuff Rainbow Dash was doing, but Rainbow Dash would kind of speak up about, you know, being Daring Do's friend, and we have to go stick up for him, and Pinky would understand that and go along with it. In terms of Rainbow and Daring Do as well, this episode really shows how sort of close they've actually grown as friends since their first encounter together. They legit seem to really care about what each other's think, and Rainbow's obviously really concerned for Daring Do as more than just a fan, but actually a friend. And Daring Do actually listens to her and some of her and Pinky's advice in this, rather than, you know, just kind of shoving them aside or, you know, as just fans or something like that. And legitimately, like, you know, going after Dash when she's escaped, and you get what Pinky's, you know, saying is because you actually, you know, you really care. And he's like, yeah, I guess I do. It was just a nice continuation of sort of their, you know, Rainbow Dash and Daring Do's sort of relationship that we've seen sort of grow since Daring Don't, and continue to expand a little bit in Stranger Than Fan Fiction, when they actually have a repertoire there, and now they're actually kind of shown to be a lot closer in this episode. It's a nice little callback to the Paris sprites there.
Yeah, I laughed at that.
It only took them 6 or 7 years to get rid of the Paris sprites.
This is why we've never gone to Philadelphia. What did everyone think of Rainbow Dash in the episode?
Did I?
Still determined and loyal toward her as a Daring Do fan, trying to make sure she tries to prove that Daring Do isn't a villain and everything.
Yeah, and like I said, just also kind of actually caring about Daring Do as a friend or a person, and not just necessarily that. Like going back to Daring Don't, when she goes there, she's just legitimately just concerned that the book is delayed, and that's all she really legitimately cared about. But here we actually see her more concerned about Daring Do as an actual individual, versus just the book's not going to be written anymore. No, it's not acid slides. It's slime. It's the smooze.
Say that's even worse.
It's the smooze's excrement.
No, it's gag.
That's doubly
Oh God,
worse.
it's back! It's back! Rainbow Dash has the legitimate reaction to Gak in that GIF. Gak? Gak! No! No!
I don't want Gak to be back.
Yeah, and it was really nice again seeing that loyalty of Rainbow Dash to Daring Do there, and actually legitimately like caring about her and standing up for her, and you know, and speaking out for her in the episode, and never really even giving up that sort of that hope for her, even when Daring Do had given up. How about Daring Do, aka Yearling herself? What everyone think about her character in the episode?
It's always nice to see some more Daring Do, even if it's practically once a season almost.
Yeah, that's a good point there about that kind of continuing that trend from Campfire Tales there, where each of those legends sort of embodied one of the main six. This one definitely embodies Pinky with that optimism or hope, because that was pretty much the main motif throughout her and Somnambula's entire story. There was not losing hope, and so that does fit very well with Pinky and optimism. That's a good point. Yeah, and we get to kind of see her in a different light here in terms of her character, where she's, you know, all the other times she's out there saving things and trying to be a badass and, you know, adventurer, Indiana Jones. But here we see her at a lot more vulnerable state that we haven't really seen her in before. And I'm not talking vulnerable as in tied up in a trap. I'm talking about emotionally vulnerable. And she legitimately feels bad about all these problems that she's caused, and so much that she doesn't want to adventure anymore because she's, you know, trying to help ponies, trying to help save historical items and artifacts, but in the end she's winding up just supposedly making all of these other ponies' lives extremely difficult and bad. And so we see her pretty much at a point where she's literally given up and at her lowest point here. And it's not really something we've seen Daring Do at before in terms of emotion and character development. So it was nice, really nice seeing that in this episode and seeing her overcome that with the help of Rainbow and Pinky. See, any other character or character development discussion that anyone has for any characters that we have or haven't talked about? Yeah. Like I mentioned, it's nice that he's learning, and nice that he has memory of Rainbow Dash, and that she is a threat, and kind of sees what she's doing there. Yeah, let's see. As always, Odell again, but I guess I'm glad they didn't try to kind of cram him into this episode as well. Kind of, they kept the character. The character's kind of a little bit more sparse, which was good, because again it allowed for all that character building.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So let's go ahead. We can move on to next the voice acting in the episode. What did everyone think about the episode's voice acting?
Say, Andre and Ashley really brought their game, as they usually do. Let's see. Who was it? Thank you for Radio Dog for pointing in the voice acting here.
Yeah, it was great hearing Michael Dobson again as
Yep.
Dr. Caballero, of course, and oh gosh, Chiara Zani as Daring Do, of course.
Yep.
Good as always. This
a little bit of a.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're about to bring it up, or you've been about Janice Jod.
Not really. I wasn't really going to say so much about the voice actor, but a little bit of a fun fact. The character that we got, Mrs. Trotsworth, we actually have an fan artist by the name of Trotsworth who joined the fandom in like 2011. So got a bit of a hilarity and hindsight here on this. Yeah. But that's all I've got really to say. As far as the actual voice acting goes, she was still pretty good on that as well.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna mention that she also played Pinky in G3.
Yep.
No, actually, I didn't. Didn't know that.
Which of course makes Pinky's trying to speak like her at the beginning of that scene all the more kind of tongue-in-cheek funny there. And we had Jay Brezu voiced the elder pony in the episode. He actually voiced a character before in the series, back in season 4 in Inspiration Manifestation. He voiced Claude in that episode. Who's Claude? Was that the puppet pony in that, or was that someone else? I forget what the puppet pony's name was.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
My puppets.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
But he voiced a character called Claude in Inspiration Manifestation. I'm not sure if that was him or not.
So I have to agree with DN12. I understand, we only got the old cart pony talking, but it would have been nice to hear an actual voice actor for some Namula and the Spanx.
I really enjoyed hearing the old guy's voice coming out of both of them.
I mean, yeah, I'm not complaining. I
think that was pretty funny, actually. he did a good job. He did a good job too. Jay, he did a good job of sort of acting for those two characters in that as well. Well, I mean, it's a little different. This was a much shorter story, and it wasn't really the absolute focus of the episode. That the Campfire Tales was really like 3 short stories in one episode. This was kind of more like, again, a flashback or someone reading a legend out of a book, literally. So moving on then, what did everyone think about the humor in the episode?
A little bit of a meta thing. Despite being the pony that introduced the book series to Rainbow Dash, Twilight doesn't seem to be very concerned at all that one of her favorite authors is retiring for no specific reason whatsoever.
Well, Twilight probably doesn't read the paper. After all
Probably not.
All those anti-Twilight Princess Twilight Sparkle articles that appear in it, probably.
That having been said, I mean, we do get again, we got that sort of another meta example with someone at Hasbro accidentally uploading the episode to YouTube instead of to Change a Changeling, which made the episode a week early. And then, of course, we got Pinkie Pie getting winded while chasing Dr. Caballero with Rainbow Dash hostage. Then, like, in the end, with the montage of Daring Do taking responsibility, she pays the innkeeper a tip in the form of a ridiculously large bag of money. I actually found more humor, not so much in the episode, rather just in some of the screenshots that some people have done, adding in some particular captions and stuff. Again, I'm not sorry with some of these. I just found some of these hysterical.
I wonder if there's a meme image of Dash tied up saying, it's only a matter of time for somebody makes a body pillow out of this.
But yeah, like Radio Doug said, I like that exchange at the beginning of the episode when they're going through all of the different all the different news articles. We point out the parasite infestation in Philadelphia being eradicated. Noodles named official food of Winneapolis. And
then
Cloudsdale.
Yeah,
my favorite one being the Cloudsdale election heated up for candidate in favor of cooling it down. I love that. I love that headline. That's fantastic.
Let's say Pinkie just kind of not getting the point of that Rainbow Dash kind of arriving a little late to the party at, AK Yearling kind of
yeah.
Retiring, like, oh, really? I didn't think you were, like, that into noodles, Rainbow Dash. They're like, I'm not.
Well, before that, she says, I never knew you were into politics, Rainbow.
That's what I meant to say, yeah.
But no, she does say the noodle ones, too. I was like, no, it can't be true. I never picked noodles as the official food of... I would have never picked noodles as the official food of Indianapolis either, but there we are. And that freaking when Rainbow Dash is like, AK Yearling is retiring, and her head just does that like Rainbow Dash intensifying shake there, which is hilarious. I think we've all been in Pinkie's case and in Pinkie's shoes. When she's talking about, like, when Rainbow Dash was talking about the latest book, and Pinkie's like, "What happens? Oh wait, no, don't tell me. Okay, tell me." It's that's how I am when any like spoiler information about the MLP movie comes out. And of course, Pinkie's like horrible sort of impression, or kind of what she thinks the hotel pony is going to sound like. "Good day, madam."
And it turns out the manager's from Southern Equestria.
Yeah. I love that line. Ooh, she's fancy. I got this.
Rainbow Dash describing Alizodal to the ponies as Somnambula. And you know Alizodal, yeah, big, long neck, itty bitty face, weird claw thingy on his tail.
Oh, good evening to you, madam. We are but wary travelers who humbly wish to inquire on the status of a certain mayor of intrigue taking residence here. And then what in Southern Equestria are you talking about? And Pinkie Pie just kind of just quickly deadpans this line. Is it true that Daring Do stays here? Just in her normal voice. I also like the part where like Mr. Brim was talking about, where Rainbow Dash was talking about Alizodal, and no one seemed to kind of know who he was. And so Pinkie Pie runs into the crowd, and she's like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh! I know him. He's a baddie!" And everyone in the audience is like, "Oh!" Le gasp. I mean, I'm gonna disagree there. On that, Dark. I think it's because both sides had legitimate points they were making, and so it was kind of easily swayed back and forth because they're like, "Oh yeah, you make a good point. You're right," and then the other person says something else, and they're also having a true point. I mean, Daring Do really did destroy a lot of their property. They have every reason to be actual mad and frustrated with what Daring Do did, and just kind of left without it. But Rainbow Dash makes a lot of good points as well about, her saving, helping to save them, and doing, if Somnambula was here, she'd, be proud of that, etc., etc. So I think it's understandable why they would kind of be so waffling, because they're not being presented with two like weird viewpoints or opposing. There are two legitimate, true viewpoints. So they are agreeing with all of them, and then kind of getting confused about how to think. In the end, Dr. Cabaleron kind of wins just because I think he's just a little bit more vocal, a little bit more intimidating, or a little bit just better public speaker than Rainbow Dash is, or maybe just has a stronger, more emotional point. Rainbow Dash is talking about how, she was brave and she saved everyone, just like Somnambula. While Dr. Cabaleron has a lot more physical evidence, where she's like, she destroyed the statue, everything that Somnambula stood for, and all of the hope we had, she destroyed it. It's a very strong point. Both points are true, but his point is very strong and resonates very much on an emotional level with the townspeople, which I think is the reason why he kind of wins in the end there in that initial argument. He doesn't really kind of get his comeuppance, and the townspeople doesn't really side with Daring Do until he's revealed to be Dr. Cabaleron and actively stealing from them anyway. I mean, and they had really no reason to think he was stealing anything. I mean, he was obviously disguised, and I know we all obviously knew it was Dr. Cabaleron from the get-go, but they don't really know who Dr. Cabaleron is, nor that, and of course, in the world of suspending disbelief in media here, when someone's wearing a disguise, they probably wouldn't have recognized him anyway in that hood.
There was another complaint I remember reading regarding suspension of disbelief, that this episode, despite having a strong world-building aspect and yet another look into Daring Do's adventure, and Cabaleron proving to be, again, the manipulative bastard that he is, kind of suffers in the third act for kind of having him gloat about his plan to Rainbow Dash, who in turn gets inexplicably captured by his underlings, leading to a particularly forced rescue scene where the solution is entirely based on a leap of faith, and then Cabaleron just fumbling his plan at the very end of the whole ordeal by sort of gloating about his plan to the entirety of the citizens of Somnambula, to which side them back with Daring Do, if up until that final third, the rest of the episode being relatively solid, according to this particular complaint I've seen. But I don't know. I mean, I still say it was pretty solid all around, even with the Dr. Cabaleron kind of taking a bit of an idiot pill.
I mean, he's been shown to do that. I mean, have a very loud mouth. I mean, that's kind of the reason why he was able to sort of win that argument between him and Rainbow Dash and the townspeople to begin with, is because of that loud mouth he has. At that point, he figured he won. He has nothing to lose. He knows that Rainbow Dash is here. He might as well kind of, get her out of the way. So he kind of captures her and, hopes that he can take care of another issue, another loose end there. The whole scene, in terms of a story aspect, rather than just Dr. Caballera's thinking there, it sort of revolves around now having Daring Do having to go and save Rainbow Dash while still learning more about the culture that she has impeded upon here in Sinambula. She has to learn a lesson from Sinambula through Pinky about hope and what Sinambula means to the people of the people of Sinambula. And it kind of balances it, where the whole beginning part of the episode is focused on Rainbow Dash, quote unquote, saving Daring Do, saving her reputation, saving her from this depression that she has, thinking that she's wronged all these places that she's been to. And then that second half, it shifts to Daring Do literally having to save Rainbow Dash using what she's learned about the culture of Sinambula and their history, which I think was an interesting little way to do it. I don't think it was completely out of left field in term like they were talking about in terms of, I guess let's have her save Rainbow Dash for no reason. I think it served a story purpose. I don't really know how the ending could have been better. Like I said, everything kind of served a purpose to the story, and what Daring Do was sort of learning about the culture. In the end, she was able to learn through Pinky and that about the culture, and having that hope and not giving up, and save Rainbow Dash, and then go and finally foil Dr. Caballera's plan. Now that they knew it was him. To somnambulate. I'm not touching that one. Yeah, I guess maybe sort of go relating to that whole blindfolded thing there. But I think her name less resonates directly with that and more resonates with the motif of her story, which is sort of like hope and stuff like that. Which you can kind of relate distantly to that as well. Being blindfolded, but still pushing forward and having that hope. Sleepwalking, you're asleep, but you're still walking. In terms of the art and the animation and the visuals, this is another one much like the Campfire Stories, where the art team and design team really get to shine in this. Of course, we get to see this whole new location with all these new characters, and it's a completely different style of location than we've seen before as well, with this one obviously being inspired by Egypt, both in the location and the character designs. Some great new costumes and hairstyles for the inhabitants of Somnambula there. And I always like episodes like this where we visit a new place, because you can really see the effort that they put into this. All these things have to be designed and made by scratch, not just reusing old art assets from Ponyville or Manhattan or anything. We're actually getting to see some new stuff, so you can really appreciate the artwork that goes into developing these episodes. Yeah, totally agree with Raider. I love the Egyptian hieroglyphic style of animation there. You can argue, oh, it's sort of, they just got lazy there, but you know what? I thought it was really cool, and I liked how it then transitioned into the kind of the fully animated scene as we get into the main story there, and then was sort of bookended by those two things. I love it when we do these. That's one of my favorite things about doing these kind of stories and flashbacks, and it's something the series has always done, is they always have some sort of unique style of animation for all of these legend stories that they do like this. Whenever Twilight or anyone else is reading a legend book in the series, whether it's like the Legend of Griffinstone or the Legend of Nightmare Moon, all the way back in the episode 1, they always have that different sort of really cool art styles that they do, and it's different for each one, which is the cool thing. So it was nice seeing something like that here as well. And yes, the Sphinx, I loved the animation on the Sphinx. But besides the design, I love the design, but the animation on it and her mouth movement was very good. Her mouth movement was like very Simpsons-esque, where the Simpsons always kind of have, and Futurama stuff, they always have those like kind of curved back lips there, like instead of a point or something like that, they have like a little calf circle. It was so there. Her mouth and the teeth style was very reminiscent of that. I thought, but I really loved it. Her animation, and when she's going through the riddle and stuff, how she's like using her wings to like block her eyes and stuff like that. It was really cool, especially for being sort of a one-off new character for this episode that they had to build that rig for. I love that Daring Do poster, that reaction she has there. Yes, that peekaboo has giant wings. I really love that Sphinx pony design. And also, someone posted this earlier, that black and white photo of Daring Do as well. I really like that.
I actually kind of half expected that we were going to maybe see the Sphinx make an actual appearance in the episode, like where the Daring Do and, Rainbow Dash and, kind of having to face that thing down. Kind of like what they did with the, what was that thing? I forget exactly what it's called, the Sipactal, that giant alligator thing that they faced with Quibble Pants.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't too, because that's sort of like a standard thing for all the Daring Do episodes, is eventually facing one of these things.
I also kind of half expected Alizodal to kind of just sort of, make an appearance as well. I mean, I know they kind of name dropped him, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that they didn't have him make an appearance. But I kind of half expected that he would. Yeah. At least.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the black and white photo there. Again, those eyes. She doesn't like having her photo taken, I guess. It's like, excuse me. She has that really kind of frazzled hair there as well. I love that. I guess love whenever the show does like a different animation style or art style like that. Anything else for the humor or the visuals that anyone wants to point out? Okay, we can move on to the score and the backing music. So we were a little bit lighter last week, but we're kind of back with a lot more this week. Again, like I said, this is a lot like a little addendum to Campfire Tales here, as it uses, has the same legend kind of score that the other one has. So it has that score for the legends. And of course, being a Daring Do episode, we also get a lot of Daring Do's score as well in it, and her leitmotif throughout the episode. So let's see. Let's go ahead and we'll listen to some of the music here. And I think one of the neatest things, and we'll kind of start off right here when we get to Somnambula, is in addition to the Daring Do motif, we got all this really great like kind of Egyptian or Middle Eastern inspired music, which is a newer kind of style for the score of it. And I like when we get a chance to hear different styles of music in the score and in the songs. So it's nice being able to visit this kind of Egypt-inspired place and having it being full of kind of this Egyptian-inspired music, like a classical Egyptian music, with all of the instrumentation you'd expect to hear from those kind of songs. So we finally we'll start off here when we first get into are arriving in Somnambula here, and you'll get to hear the instrumentation and motif that the town gets. Oh yeah, I forgot to combine these two tracks. Okay, so this one actually starts. This one starts with the traveling sequence on the map first, and we actually get the same exact score we had for the previous traveling sequence back in Daring Don't. As you recall, that's when all the main six were traveling to Daring Do's place. We had that fun little map scene with Pinky painting the line. I guess unfortunately she wasn't doing the same thing this time. That would have been a fun callback, but or just maybe it wouldn't have been fun because it would just be using a joke. But whatever. It's the same kind of sequence, so we do get that same exact score here for that. So a little callback to that episode. And then we get into the Somnambula score after that. Again, a very Indiana Jones inspired tune there. In there with Daring Do's leitmotif there, which we'll hear throughout the episode. And now we get to the next part where we first encounter the cloaked Dr. Caballeron spouting all the negative stuff about Daring Do. That score continues here when we get to the second scene of him spouting those stuff about Daring Do. We hear a lot. I believe we hear a little bit of Dr. Caballeron's motif here as well. No, that was the last one. Yeah, this one I really like. This is like a very, very Egyptian-inspired piece here. Get a little melancholy version of Daring Do's leitmotif there at the end as she walks away, and now we get into the story of Somnambula. So this is the score for the old pony story of Somnambula. So we get a lot of great Egyptian inspired score here and some action score as well. This one very reminiscent again of Campfire Tales and some of the stuff we got there. Just in terms of the length of it and just how complete it is. This one actually clocks in at just under 3 minutes long here, so just about as long as some of those as well, which is nice. Again, those very Egyptian and style inspired instrumentation here. That reed instrument there. Gets a little bit more orchestral here. A little bit of the malleted dulcimer there. This is music from My Little Pony. Getting back a little bit more into the orchestral music here. Back to the more of the Egyptian woodwinds and the malleted dulcimer there. End where we started then, and it's fitting that can't get past that fanfare. A nice little ending to it there. It's fitting that the score there ends off where it started, because it follows the animation style there. There's that little simple area there with that reed instrument there at the beginning. End of the song matches the part of the animation where we have the old like Egyptian hieroglyphic animation, and then the rest of the score where it gets a lot more instrumentation or a lot more orchestral. That's when we actually get into more of the actual animation versus those kind of stylized animation parts. So it fits together nicely with the visuals there in that aspect. So really a really great track, and coming off of Campfire Tales and some of the amazing music in that, definitely is up there with the score in that episode for those three stories there. Definitely on par with the score from the Rarity's Tale there, in terms of just kind of originality and in terms of the instrumentation for the series, and something we haven't really heard much of, a style of music we haven't heard much of in this series before. We've heard some Arabic music in it before. This one had a distinctly more Egyptian taste to it with the instrumentation that was involved, and I guess stuff like that really just makes me love the music in this show all over again. Just it's a freaking My Little Pony show. Why does it have music like this in it? It's really good and really good show. But we're not quite done yet. We get Dr. Caballerian here returning in this next one. This is when he reveals his plan to Rainbow Dash and captures her. And I believe this is where we get a little drop of his leitmotif that has followed him through his couple of appearances over the past 3 Daring Do episodes. There's his theme. Okay, so then we got that. And let's see, we go to the next one. Come on, there we go. Let's see, so this is another longer one, about 2 minutes here. This is from the sequence where Daring Do goes to save Rainbow Dash here. So we got a lot of action score here, and I believe some of the Somnambula score here as well. Sort of one of this is kind of one of the standard action motifs for this series here. You'll hear this a lot in the series. I love this part of the music here. Those key changes. You can hear that inspiration and like hope building up. And we should be getting to the part where they actually jump in and get across here soon. And we get Daring Do's leitmotif again. A very heroic version of her theme there as they jump across, ending with that kind of choir at the end. That kind of ends right there. Let's see. From there, we get to the scene where Dr. Cabaleron is exposed. Working in Daring Do's leitmotif there. It's kind of nicely working in her leitmotif there at the end as she has saved the day yet again. And finally, we get to the final track, Righting the Wrongs. I really like this one. I believe the second part of it incorporates the when we get to the montage sequence again. I believe it incorporates the Somnambula theme and that Egyptian instrumentation music. But the beginning of it is something you might recognize. It's it was first used actually in the season premiere. If you'll remember in Celestial Advice at the beginning of the season, with the scene where Celestia is talking to Twilight and she's kind of giving her sort of a backstory on kind of how she felt when she sent Twilight away to Ponyville and you know was kind of helping her in her studies and the regrets and worries that she had. And a really wonderful backing piece, beautiful backing score to it, and kind of reprise it here as another new kind of lesson theme at the end here, with a little bit more subdued. It's a little bit quieter. It's not quite as loud as the original one is in the instrumentation, but you'll recognize the theme from it. We have to get through this beginning part first, and then another little drop of Daring Do's leitmotif. Here it is. it repeats this first part again instead of going to the second part like we did in Celestial Advice. Very nice little like soft piano and glockenspiel piece there. And like I said, at the very end of the episode here, as we're going through the montage of Daring Do making all these things right, we get a return of that Somnambula Egyptian style of score. And that takes us to the end of the episode there. So another great episode with for the score there. A lot of score in that one, more than the last one, and definitely on par with what we've got in Campfire Tales. So a lot of great score this season, from Celestial Advice to Royal Problem to Campfire Tales, and now this one as well. Some really great score coming this season in the absence of a lot of songs, which is nice. So that takes us into the score again. A lot of great stuff there. Moving on. What does everyone think of the episode's theme and moral?
Oh, let's see what we got here. The pretty much the theme and moral here is, even if you try to do something good, you're still responsible for your actions. And if something bad happens that if you didn't intend, you shouldn't give up hope nor lose faith in yourself.
Yep. Yeah, and just like Tim said, sort of that double moral there, which is great. You gotta, even if you think you're helping people or trying to help people, you still have to live with the consequences of your actions if you mess up or something doesn't go right, or if you just completely overlook something like Daring Do did. But at the same time, yeah, you can't let that get to you. You gotta keep the hope alive, keep moving forward, and work to correct what you did wrong. It was a really good lesson. I think it was made pretty clear throughout the episode, and they pretty much stated it explicitly at the end. But yeah, it's a good lesson. I don't think it's really one that we've had yet in the series, which is nice. So, let's see. Favorite parts for the episode, or any outstanding concerns that anyone has about it?
I don't really have anything in particular that kind of springs to mind.
I really like the story sequence and the flashback sequence. That's probably my favorite part of it. From the music to the story, and Somnambula and the Sphinx were great. And I love this kind of legend and world building that they're doing this season, and tying that in with the comics. And it was nice to have not just one episode with 3 different stories, but then having another episode here now that ties into that as well, with another legend of Equestria here. So I really did enjoy that. And I agree with sort of what Radio Dog saying there. I really enjoyed Pinky and Rainbow Dash as well. I think they were written really well in this episode, and they and their dialogue, their back and forth and kind of how they played off each other and helped each other throughout the episode was really good. So yeah, overall feelings, final thoughts, conclusions?
Well, always nice to see another Daring Do episode. Kind of wondering if we're gonna see her again in season 8. More than likely, we will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had a Daring Do episode every near pretty much almost every season since
since season 4.
Yeah.
Or no, we haven't, because we didn't have one season 5, did we? Did we have one season 5? No, because we had
maybe. I don't think we did.
We had Daring Don't, and then season 4, and then we had Stranger Than Fanfiction in season 6, and now this in season 7.
So yeah, I'm gonna double check on that. Let's see what we got here. Episodes and transcripts. Episodes and transcripts. Now let's see what we got here.
No one likes you, Twist.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
I almost say Lost Treasure of Griffinstone almost sounds like a Daring Do episode, but no, it definitely isn't.
But that was that was a Pinky and Rainbow episode, though.
No.
Close enough.
But yeah, it's nice having more Daring Do, and it's nice that kind of all these episodes are kind of each unique in sort of what they cover. You know, it's not just like retreads of the season 2 Reading Rainbow episode where it's all about just showing Daring Do adventuring in action and stuff. Each episode has dealt with sort of a different subject with Daring Do, which is great. So nothing seems like a retread. Nothing seems, like we're just doing the same thing over again. So that's really good, because that's something when you get something like Daring Do and you want to keep using her character over and over again. That's something that can happen if you're not careful. And yeah, I really need to read those. I started reading one of the Daring Do books, and then I'm just horrible with keeping up with reading now because I'm too busy with everything else. That if I had an extra day in the week where I could just devote to reading, I'd read those, and I'd read the M.A. Larson books and all this other stuff that I have to still read.
So I've read one. I've got the other 2. I mean, I've got all 3 of them on the as a ebook function on my Kindle here.
Yeah, I have the chest, the physical book chest. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really written well. The characters were written well. It explored a different thing with Daring Do and explored a different side of her character, with her now being more emotionally vulnerable here in this episode, instead of just playing this big heroic figure like we've had in previous episodes. And like the backstory in it. It was just a really solid episode. I really don't think I have any complaints about it. I hate saying anything is perfect, but I really don't have any legitimate complaints that are worth saying about it. It's a really well executed episode and a really enjoyable episode as well. And some of the best Pinky, some of the better Pinky writing that we've had. Jean Barr is really kind of has a good style, I think. I really enjoy her style of writing and all of the episodes that she's written so far. What was the other one she wrote this season? I forget which one it was. I'm not even going to look, because I know someone's going to say it pretty soon. Before I even have a chance. Yeah, Fluttershy leans in. Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was the other one. That was another really good episode. Another really good Fluttershy character episode. She's really good at writing the characters. So. Yeah, about as close to perfect as you get. So, with that, I take this to the end of this week's episode of Equine Episode Examination. So, thank you so much for joining us for this episode today. We will, of course, be back this weekend to be watching the new episode of MLP, which is It Isn't the Main Thing. It isn't the main. Oh, okay, yeah. That was kind of weird because it went to a second line. I didn't realize it. It isn't the main thing about you. Episode 19, which premieres this Saturday. So make sure to join us at 11:30, where we'll live chat during that. And of course, we will be back next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to discuss that episode then. So make sure to join us then. Of course, this weekend we'll also have our new episode of CQ Riffs, where we'll be riffing something which I've never seen before, which sounds like it's going to be super fun, Peppa Pig, which I've heard is a fantastic animated series for children, on par with My Little Pony. That's My Little Pony G3.6. But we'll be riffing that this weekend. I believe it's at 1:30 and not 1 this week because we have all those Danger Mouse stuff to show. So that's 1:30 this weekend, I believe, at here on CQ Riff. So we'll see you then, and we'll see you next Tuesday for the next episode of Equine Episode Examination. So thank you all for joining us, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Take care, folks.
Later, folks.